Hello there. I was just sitting a few moments ago after something I read, and I was pondering things about this green platform that's out there where everybody wants, they're building all these windmills and they're putting in all these solar panels and everything. Well, the article I was reading was about the 1816 year without summer. And it said that the year before, in 1815, there was this big volcanic eruption over there in the South Pacific that put a whole bunch of ash and stuff in the air that circled the globe for a long time. Now, it was so heavy that the next summer, there wasn't no summer. It stayed cold in wintertime all year long across the United States, Northern America, across Europe and all that. Now, I was just wondering, I was up there in Spokane I lived in Spokane, Washington, when that Mount St. Helens blew over there along the coast. And there was ash come over. It was daytime. And the sky started getting darker and darker and darker over a period of time until it was so dark outside you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Now, after a period of time, a couple hours or so, it started getting lighter. We was looking out the window, and it gradually got a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, until you could see, and you could see the trees, but there wasn't much to see because all there was all this gray ash all over everything. Why, it was about 6, 8, 9 feet, 9 inches deep. And for weeks after, you had to change the air filter in your car all the time, every few days, because the ash would get in if you drove. And there was all kinds of stuff about that ash. And now, I think something like that happened. I don't think them solar panels is going to be much good. And windmills they got out there with them great big fancy blades, you get some dust, that kind of ash dust into them, volcanic ash, and I don't think them generators and that stuff, I don't care how sealed them bearings and things are, they're going to have problems. Now, we come up with a year without summer, and we're depending on solar and windmills. We might be in a wee bit of trouble. It's just one of them things I got to thinking about. And if there was 6 inches of ash, or even 3 inches of ash deposited on them big fancy solar farms they got out here, like the one they got out by in California, out there by Whiskey Pete's, and I've seen them all over. There's another one down. I just seen them all over. Seen them different places. They're huge, Arizona's got a couple, and you put 3 or 4 inches of ash on them things, and till a good rainstorm comes along, a lot of them ain't put in any place where there's a lot of rain. But a good rainstorm or that comes along, a little bit of mist, a little bit of dew on it. Now that is going to turn it into kind of like, it's going to make it like some kind of cheap concrete. So you're going to be out there sweeping all that stuff off of them. But then if the sun ain't coming through the clouds because the atmosphere is all full of that ash, they ain't going to be producing too much electricity, I don't figure. Now, as long as you got natural gas and coal backup systems, stuff like that, nuclear power, it might be all right. You might have to cut back on your air conditioning and things. But now, that nuclear power, one of the things that they had a big scuffle over that was, what do you do with the used up rods? They was planning on making that big place out there in Nevada a depository for all that stuff to put out, because I guess they can't recycle it anyway or whatever. It's just wore out. But I don't know whatever happened to that thing in Nevada. That just kind of disappeared out of the media a few years ago now. So what are they doing with all them used stuff? Now, them Navy ships that are all out there on nuclear power, they ain't never had any trouble with them. There ain't been no 3 Mile Island or Chernobyls with any of them that I know of. But what do they do with the spent rods that they use for fuel? Where's that being deposited after they're taken out of the generators? New ones are put in. They had nobody answering them questions. But that brings up another thing. I've read an article a while back that said them windmill blades, them big, beautiful things, they can't do nothing with them after they have to take them down, except put them in a landfill. Now, we're putting way too much into landfills. I thought the Greens was one of them that was talking about we're overloading landfills. Now, if you can't put that fiberglass that them big blades on them windmills are made out of, what the heck you going to do with them? You got to figure out some way to recycle them. Well, this article I read said they can't be recycled. So, boy, them huge things, you see them out there on them tractor trailers going down the road with the police escorts and everything. Them's big things to be putting in landfills, I tell you. Even if you dig a hole and put them in nose first, it's still going to take up a lot of room. Now, and that too, I was thinking, all this plastic stuff, they got that island out there floating around in the Pacific that ain't been in the news since this coronavirus took over everything and started pushing everything out. But whatever happened to that island of junk plastic that was out there in the ocean? I remember reading an article that said by 2050, there'd be more plastic in the ocean than there'd be fish. I know that them dolphins and killer whales, another kind of dolphin, and them whales and stuff, they ain't fish. But that plastic, when they go eating it gets in their gut and kills them too. So, hey, what you gonna do with all this? And here, now like that Los Angeles and stuff, they're taking all that water, and instead of feeding the groves and stuff, they're flushing it through their toilets and out into the ocean. I guess that's where it goes after it goes in the ground. But that down there around Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and everything, when I was young, them was all orange groves and things like that. They all had truck farms. There was a lot of Japanese had truck farms in all them places growing tomatoes, cucumbers. Well, they ain't there no more because they're all houses. And I guess them houses use more water than them orange trees and them tomato plants. And they're talking about this drought, and they're talking about all this, they're draining aquifer, like back around Kansas and everything, and over into Utah and down into California. They're draining the aquifers, and that water ain't being replaced because of the droughts. Well, I don't know whether there's much drought or not. But that brought up another thing, talking about this climate change that's causing all this trouble with the drought and making it so there's more fires and everything. Well, I read another article, scientific, so it's got to have something behind it. It says that North Pole, the speed that it's moving under the crust of the earth, has sped up over the last period of time. and it's really accelerated, and it's moving over towards that there Siberia place from being up under the ice pack like it was the North Pole, where them polar bears are in trouble. Now, if the North Pole's moving, I hope the South Pole is moving over towards Australia or wherever, because we're going to be in a big lot of trouble if that that magnetic field gets all to one side of this big old planet we live on. Yeah, it's going to start thumping around like a tire on a car that's got a one of them busted deals in there that just makes it go thump, 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 thump. And I don't think that's going to do too good for our seasons and our climate change and everything. So, it's just got me thinking now, what if it winds up where the North Pole is down there somewhere in India and the South Pole is on the opposite side of the Earth? I can't think where that would mean about now, but that'd be halfway around the Earth. So what would what's that going to do with this climate change? I mean, the ice pack would be over there in India, where them billions of people live, and so them billions of people wouldn't be over there. That South Pole ice pack would be over there in somewhere. I don't know where that would be. I just put it on a map, world map, and figure out where it'd be. So if them people, them Greens, I don't think them Greens are thinking about this thing, looking at the big picture. Got a lot of things that need to be included in this. If you're going to worry about that, well, I just had to talk about that. I've got to think about some other things. Have a good day. And as that Ted and that other guy said years ago, be excellent to each other.